Felicia thought her suffering had reached its limit until the night her own husband was dragged away for a crime he didn't commit. With her womb shattered and her spirit fading, she steps into a dangerous world of betrayal, corruption, and hidden truths just to save the man who once saved her. But every answer she uncovers cuts deeper than the last, forcing her to confront secrets that threaten everything she has left. And when the truth finally rises, it doesn't set her free. It tests the very limits of her heart. This is the moment her life breaks, or becomes something no one ever expected. Now the story begins. The doctors called it a womb of glass. Felicia never forgot the way they said it, like a warning, like a curse. She could carry life, yes, but the slightest shock, the smallest stress, could shatter her womb forever. Every time she breathed too heavily, she wondered if she was breaking from the inside. Her husband, Ibuka, was her anchor. His laughter steadied her. His touch reminded her that fragility was not the same as weakness. Together, they planned carefully. No arguments, no sudden bad news, no chaos near Felicia. The world outside could be loud, but in their little apartment in Onitsha, everything was gentle, measured, safe. Until the morning the police came. The sound of their boots echoed up the stairwell like drums of war. Felicia froze, her hand on her belly. The officers pushed through without warning. "Where is Ibuka?" one barked. Ibuka stepped forward calmly, his hand raised. "What is this about?" "You're under arrest for fraud and theft," the officer said, snapping cold steel cuffs onto his wrists. Felicia gasped. "Fraud? Theft? My husband is not a thief." Ibuka didn't struggle. He looked at her, and they dragged him away. The shock sent a sharp pain tearing through her side. She collapsed, clutching her stomach, praying the doctors had been wrong about the fragility of her womb. But deep inside, she knew the glass had already begun to crack. And that was only the beginning. The neighbors whispered quickly. Fraud? Maybe it was true. Who knows what men do behind closed doors? Felicia tried to drown out the gossip, but it seeped into her ears like poison. At the police station, she begged for answers. An officer tossed a folder onto the table. Inside were papers with Ibuka's name. Contracts, bank transfers, company seals. To anyone else, it looked convincing. "This is fake," she cried. "My husband is not capable of this." The officer leaned back. "Then prove it. Prove it." Two words that weighed heavier than her fragile womb. Felicia wasn't a lawyer. She wasn't rich. She had no connections in the city. All she had was her body, a body that threatened to betray her at the slightest push. That night, alone in her apartment, she sat in the dark and whispered to herself, "If I sit quietly, I lose him. If I move, I risk myself. Which glass will break first, my womb or my marriage?" The question hung in the silence. And slowly, she realized she could not stay silent. Even glass could be carried carefully if one had steady hands. She would fight. Somehow she would fight. Her first step was to visit the company where Ibuka supposedly worked. The office was a sleek building in Akka. She asked for the manager, a man named Obi. When he appeared, his smile was too wide. "Madam, your husband has caused us great loss. Over 15 million naira vanished under his name. Do you think we would joke with that?" Felicia's knees wobbled. "But Ibuka never worked here. You must know this." Obi shrugged. "The documents say otherwise. You can check." She asked to see them. He refused. "Madam, don't stress yourself. Go home. Take care of your condition." His words dripped with false concern. She staggered out of the building, clutching the railing, while rising in her throat. Something was wrong. If Ibuka had never worked there, then who had planted his name in those documents? On the way home, she spotted a familiar face, Ibuka's childhood friend, Namdi. He avoided her eyes, hurrying into a car. Her pulse quickened. Why would Namdi, of all people, pretend not to know her? Her instincts whispered. Namdi knew something. Maybe too much, and maybe he was part of it. But how could she confront him without risking the shatter the doctors warned her about? The glass felt thinner with every step she took. That night, Felicia dreamed of breaking glass. Shards scattered across the hospital floor, stained with blood. She woke up gasping, her hand on her belly, sweat drenching her back. The morning brought no comfort. Bills piled on the table. Ibuka's case was moving fast. Without a lawyer, he could be sentenced within weeks. She scraped her savings and went to a small law office in Onitsha. The lawyer, a young woman named Ngozi, listened carefully. "This case smells of setup," Ngozi said. "But the evidence against your husband is heavy. Someone powerful wants him gone. Can we stop it?" Felicia asked, her voice trembling. Ngozi leaned closer. "Only if we find a real culprit. And that will mean digging where they don't want us to dig." Felicia hesitated. Every nerve in her body screamed against stress. Yet, looking at Ngozi's determined eyes, she felt a flicker of strength. "I'll do it," Felicia said. That night, she wrote a letter to Ibuka in prison. "I will fight for you. Even if it breaks me, I will fight." When she sealed the envelope, her hand was shaking. She wasn't sure if it was fear or the first crack of courage. Days later, Ngozi returned with a clue. "Namdi," she said, "your husband's friend. His name appears in some of the files, quietly behind the scenes." Felicia's breath caught. She had been right. Ngozi continued, "I traced one of the bank transfers. Guess whose account received the money? Namdi's." The room tilted. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Namdi? The boy who grew up eating from Ibuka's mother's pot? The friend who called Ibuka his brother? The betrayal was too sharp, too loud. Felicia clutched her belly, forcing her breathing to slow. The glass must not break. Not yet. "We need proof," Ngozi said. "We can't just accuse him. We may need to set a trap." The word trap rattled in Felicia's mind. Danger, tension, pressure, exactly the things the doctors told her to avoid. But she also knew, if she did nothing, Ibuka would rot in prison for a crime his friend committed. Glass or no glass, she had no choice. Ngozi arranged a meeting. Namdi believed he was meeting a business partner. Instead, it would be Felicia and Ngozi waiting. The cafe in Akka buzzed with the noise of clinking glasses and quiet conversations. Felicia sat in the corner, a scarf covering her head, trying to still her trembling hands. She kept hearing the doctors in her mind, avoid stress, avoid shocks. But when Namdi walked in, all she felt was fire. He froze when he saw her. "Felicia, what are you doing here?" She kept her voice steady. "I should ask you, why is your name in the papers that sent my husband to prison?" His eyes darted. His hands fidgeted. "I don't know what you're talking about." Ngozi slid a folder across the table. Inside were copies of transfers, his account details. His face turned pale. "Namdi," Felicia whispered, her voice breaking. "You were like a brother to him." "Why?" For a moment, Namdi said nothing. Then he leaned forward, his voice low and sharp. "You think the world is fair? Ibuka always had everything: respect, love, a wife who adored him. I was tired of being in his shadow." The words sliced through her chest. "You can't prove anything in court. Nobody will believe you." He stormed out, leaving the chair spinning. Felicia sat frozen, her hand on her belly, feeling the glass inside her tremble. Ngozi's jaw tightened. "We need more. His confession here is not enough. We need a recording, documents, something ironclad." Felicia swallowed hard. The thought of going further terrified her. But as she looked at Ibuka's picture on her phone, she whispered, "Then we'll get it. Whatever it takes." Felicia's strength was not limitless. That night, her body punished her. Pain rippled through her womb, so sharp it bent her in half. She crawled to the bathroom, praying not to see blood. The mirror reflected a pale, sweating face. She pressed her hand to the glass. "Please don't break," she begged herself. Morning brought no relief, but Ibuka's letter arrived from prison. His handwriting was rough, the ink smudged. Felicia, don't destroy yourself for me. If I lose you, what will I have left? Promise me you'll protect yourself first. Her tears blurred the words. How could she protect herself when the only way to save him was to risk everything? Ngozi called. We have one chance. Nambi has a meeting tomorrow night with a man who launders the stolen money. If we can get evidence of that, your husband walks free. Felicia's voice shook. How dangerous? Ngozi didn't answer immediately. Dangerous enough. But if we wait, Ibuka's sentence will be sealed. The choice was like a blade. Save herself or save her husband. Glass or marriage. Felicia gripped the letter. Her heart thundered. I'm coming. The night air in Onitsha was heavy with exhaust fumes and fried food from street stalls. Felicia wore a simple wrapper and blouse, blending into the shadows beside Ngozi's car. Across the street, a dimly lit bar pulsed with low music. Nambi was inside. Ngozi handed her a small recorder. You don't have to do this. I can go in alone. But Felicia shook her head. If he sees me, maybe he'll slip. His guilt runs deepest with me. Her footsteps felt like walking on shards as she entered the bar. The smoky air burned her throat. She spotted Nambi at a corner table, speaking to a man with a thick gold chain. She forced herself to walk closer, her palms sweating. Nambi's eyes widened when he saw her. You again? The man with the chain frowned. Who is this? She's nobody, Nambi snapped. But his voice cracked. Felicia's lips trembled, but she spoke. Tell him, Nambi. Tell him how you framed Ibuka. Tell him how you stole everything. The gold chain man's gaze sharpened. What is she talking about? Nambi stammered. His hand shook. It's under control. Just shut up, Felicia. But his panic was loud enough. The man slammed his fist on the table. You dragged me into this with fake documents? You told me it was clean. The tension exploded. Voices rose. Chairs scraped. And Felicia's recorder caught it all. Her belly twisted violently. Pain ripped through her body like broken glass. But she clenched the recorder in her fist and staggered out into the night. She had what she needed. The only question was, would her body survive long enough to use it? The hospital lights blurred. Felicia lay on the bed, tubes in her arm, monitors beeping. A doctor frowned down at her. You were warned, he said softly. Your womb has taken damage. The stress nearly tore it apart. Her chest tightened. The baby... There was no pregnancy, he said. But the damage is real. Another shock like this, and you may never carry life again. Her heart cracked silently. A womb of glass indeed. Ngozi appeared later, holding the recorder. We have him. This is enough to crush Nambi in court. Felicia closed her eyes. Relief battled grief. She had saved Ibuka, but at a cost only she would carry. The trial came quickly. Nambi's face was pale when the recording played. His own voice panicked, admitting everything. The courtroom murmured like a hive. The judge's gavel struck. Ibuka is cleared of all charges. Nambi, you are guilty of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. Ibuka turned to look at Felicia, his eyes brimming. Freedom, finally. But Felicia only touched her belly, feeling the emptiness inside her. When Ibuka walked out of prison, his first words to her were not what she expected. He didn't ask about his case, or his job, or even Nambi. He cupped her face, his eyes searching. Felicia, what did it cost you? Her tears slipped silently. More than I wanted to give. He pulled her close. You should have let me rot in there. I can live in a cell, but not without you. Her voice cracked. I couldn't breathe knowing you were in chains. They stood in the sunlight, both free yet scarred. But inside their hearts, the war was not over. Because while Ibuka had regained his freedom, Felicia had lost the one thing she dreamed of giving him, children. A womb of glass. But as Ibuka held her, whispering promises of love stronger than bloodlines, Felicia realized something. Even broken glass can catch the light. In the end, Felicia discovered that sometimes strength isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to keep fighting when the world gives you every reason to stop. Her journey reminds us that the people we love can become our greatest weakness and our greatest source of courage. But tell me, if you were pushed to the edge like Felicia, how far would you go to protect the truth? If this story touched you, don't leave without liking, subscribing, and sharing. Someone out there needs this reminder today.